Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their spiritual journey stories with a safe and supportive community. If you have any stories you would like to share, or know of anyone that has stories that would like to share, email me at lighttalk423@gmail.com. And let's get started. Go ahead. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and start your stories?
All righty. Well, my name is Mary Gartman. I'm from South Carolina. I'm a daycare teacher by trade, and I'm the founder and head investigator for Southern Comfort Paranormal. I'm also the South Carolina representative for our paranormal world, and also been doing a couple of extra things on the side, but I have two children, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, it keeps you busy. You're a
Very
very
busy.
busy girl. Yeah, so tell us some of your stories that you may have.
Well, I grew up in a very active haunted house. I've had every day was a new experience. I've never had the same experience. Um, like there were three children spirits that I would communicate with. Yeah, there were three children spirits that I connected with on a daily. There two of them were girls, one was a guy. One girl had shoulder length brown, sandy brown hair and freckles on her face. And she would always hide in my shower because she was very scared and skittish. Um, there was a little African American girl. She wore like pigtails here and one back here with little
Mhm.
white beads at the end of her hair, a white dress. I called her Teresa. But Susan, the little shorter length hair girl, she was taken from school by a family friend and killed by the family friend. And the little African American girl, Teresa, she was shot in a field from basically how they showed me their deaths. Um, I didn't get too much information on the boy. I called him Bobby, but he was about 13, 14, and he had sandy brown hair, freckles on his face. He was kind of tall, but he wouldn't tell me too much on his story. I guess he was kind of like keep it to yourself type, but I figured he'd warm up to me when he got comfortable. There was a bad energy that I always got a bad feeling about when I would go in the back room where my playroom used to be. One day I hid because bad feeling just came over me. And I look up, I peek around the corner, and there is this man. He's headless and he's holding his head in his hands going up my hallway. So, needless to say, after the coast was clear, I got out of there.
No, I bet. That's a scary thing to see.
Yeah. And it was just a new experience every day. I had a candle. We had a candle on our entertainment center. One day it just picked up, floated 5 feet, and sat down on the floor just as pretty as you want to see it. It's just fascinating. It was a new experience every day.
Sounds like it.
People have reported seeing my grandparents' spirits in the house. My grandmother is the more prominent one, and she's very sassy. But but it was a new experience every day. And when I had my son, I had a near death experience where after, because I had a placental abruption with him, and after they put me on the operating table and operated on me, I turned around and I started hemorrhaging immediately as soon as they cut me open. And as soon as they pulled him out, I went out from the loss of blood. From what they said, I had lost a lot of blood. But I remember, I don't even remember passing out, but I remember not long after I lose consciousness, I'm like transported to this place. And it's like a dark tunnel with a bright light at the end of it. My grandparents were there, and there were these beings of pure light, but you can make out the outline of wings. And to me, I thought those were angels.
Uh-huh.
I still think those were angels. They were
Yeah.
so pretty.
Yeah, I would think they would.
But my grandparents told me that it wasn't my time yet. I had to come back. There were things I still had to do. And it was like the minute I went back, all of that pain hit me at once. Like I'm being hit by a mad truck. And before that, being in that place, I've never felt such a peaceful feeling in my life. I've never been more at peace. And I've never felt at peace like that since. But it was such a great feeling. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean, I would probably have the same feeling. I mean, you see such beauty and love and just awesomeness. How could you want to come back?
Yeah. And seeing my grandparents that have been gone since 08 and 09, and I gave birth in 2017. But seeing my grandparents again after that much time, I didn't want to leave them.
Right.
But I
Right.
guess God sent them to me in a way because he knew I'm hard-headed and he knew I would listen to them.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah. But I'm a strong believer in our loved ones. They come get us when it's our time. And I think they do that because it helps make our transition easier.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it was just I remember it being such a wonderful feeling. And then I get back in my body and all that pain hits me at once. And I'm like, Lord, what I come back to? I didn't get
Are
to
you
see my baby till
crazy?
I'm telling you.
Don't make me do this.
I didn't get to see my baby till the next day. I had him at 4:30 in the afternoon. I didn't get stable till about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my.
And then the next day, after I got settled in my room and everything, they told me that I was like, well, we have good news and bad news. And me being me, I'm like, well, what's the bad news? She was like, well, if you want to live to see your son grow up, I don't think you should have any more children because you may not survive the next one. Which I do want to get another opinion about that. I'm not gonna lie. Um, And then I was like, well, what's the good news? She said, well, you have a happy, healthy 8 pound, 4 ounce baby boy. I was like, jeez. No
That's a
wonder I
heavy
had to have
one.
a no wonder I had to have a C-section. She said
Wow.
my pelvis wouldn't spread to allow a baby to come through. My body's just not made to have a baby naturally,
Well,
which is fine.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you got yours.
Me too. Now, if only maybe God would grant me a little girl, so I have my little pair.
Your little pair. Well, I got the boy, but no others. That's okay. That's okay. We love our little man. He's 22 now. Our little
Oh, he's not
man.
so little right now.
Oh no, he's not very little. He's like little. He's like almost 6 foot, and he's a little bit taller than me. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
five foot four. I'd have to look up like that.
yeah. I'm 5'5", and so I have to look up at him too.
Well,
But
see, you're an inch taller than I am. You're
yeah.
so short.
No, you are fine. Your height is
My
perfect.
6-year-old comes to about right here on me. Makes
Wait
me
till
feel
they get
bad.
above your head.
It won't
feels
be long. I'm
no, feels very weird to have to look up at your child, and yeah,
It's
uh,
coming.
yep, it's
I do
coming.
have a stepdaughter, and she's the most precious thing. Both of my children have ADHD combined, so that's a challenge. It's never a
Oh man,
boring day around here.
no, 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 yeah, it's stays pretty active here too. He's living with us right
Yeah.
at the moment, so um, it's pretty challenging sometimes. It's hard for them to come back home after they've been out. It's very hard for everybody. So once they get out and they come back, it's a challenge.
Some parents are kind of like having to push theirs out the door, like, okay,
Yeah.
eviction time.
No, we love him. He's absolutely adorable. We love him to pieces. It's just he's been out on his own, and he's used to living his way. You know.
Oh, yeah,
Then
that's
he come back
interesting.
to mom and dad's house, and then there's back to our rules. So it's been
Yeah,
a challenge. I'll just put it that way.
I remember those days.
Yep, yep. So some of the other things that you have seen are shadows. You've seen some
Yes,
shadows?
I have seen shadow people in the house that I grew up. Um, we had to have our house blessed um because I never got a good vibe from them. But I was born with the veil over my whole body. My mom and her mom was born with the veil just over their head. I was born with it over my whole body. And from the time I was a baby up until I was about 15, I could see and communicate with the dead. I was never able to make contact with my grandparents. I was told that my grandparents wouldn't show themselves to me because they didn't want to upset me. I was still grieving over them pretty heavily. That was a loss that I still haven't got over. And it's been years. But the shadow people, the one day I was going all the way to my room and I'm running and I stop and there's this big old shadow figure blocking my doorway, just looking down on me like the top of its head reaches my ceiling.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there looking like, okay, um, you're a little too tall for me. I'm gonna back out of here. But I mean, I could probably sneak in between his legs and go through that way, as short as I am, but I wasn't gonna take that chance.
No, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. Yeah.
So I just backed out and went back the way I came. I was like, I'll just go to my room later if maybe. Might sleep on the couch, who knows? But there was used to be a little boy that would turn my computer screen on and off, on and off, on and off all night. I had to unplug my computer so I could sleep. But I've had experiences with the old hag. Um
Really?
I every night I would go to sleep. I'd wake up sometime in the middle of the night. Um just can't move, like something's on me and I can't move. So I'm just like, okay, well, bump it. I'ma just roll over and go back to sleep. Can't move anyways. I'd wake up the next morning and I'd have bruises all over me. And growing up around it after so long, you get used to it and that fear factor kind of like goes away. So I don't fear anything like that. It's not really much that does scare me besides heights and spiders.
I got you on the heights.
Mary don't do spiders either. But it's just we had to have our house blessed. And I know they say you're never supposed to we had to have our house blessed, and I know they say you're never supposed to separate or leave the group when the house is being blessed. But you know, nature calls. So I
Yeah, it does sometimes.
had to take a potty break, and while I'm taking the potty break, I get pinched. Like once I start washing my hands to join back the group, I get pinched like super hard on my side. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's time for me to rejoin everybody. But I don't think that the blessing worked because we still had so much activity and there was just a lot of darkness in our walk-in closet. And that's where like the heaviest feeling of like the darkness came from was our walk-in closet. Um as a paranormal investigator, I try not to limit myself to just spirits, but I don't like to limit myself to just spirits and the afterlife. I like to venture out and do like investigate like cryptozoology and like UFOs and stuff like that because there's so much out there. There's so much of the earth that is yet to be explored. New animals are getting discovered every day. There's so much of the ocean that's yet to be explored. I mean, in reality, we've only explored and discovered just a tiny bit than what's really all out there. So, really, we have no clue what's all out there, and I'm open to anything. I'm big Christian. Um, I believe that God has planned everything and everything has its reasons. But I've, as an investigator, when I go to a location, I go with the utmost respect. As soon as I get to a location, I'm making it known, hey, I'm Mary. This is my mother. We're here out of the utmost respect out of our hearts. We come to help. If you want help, we're here to help you. If you don't want help, that's fine. If you just want to speak your piece, we're here for that too. And that's how I approach every investigation. And if I can help cross over a spirit or help them with their unfinished business or help them communicate to a loved one or help solve their case in case something bad happened to them, then I've done something right with my life. And that's really what I want to do with Southern Comfort Paranormal. I want to help those who have been wronged and whose life has been taken so soon. But when I went to Crybaby Bridge in Anderson, I made contact with the gentleman who fell to his death, screaming his daughter's name. I told him that you have the most beautiful little girl, and she is growing to be a bright young lady, and you should be proud to have a legacy behind like that. And I made contact with the mother who threw her baby off the bridge and hung herself after she just lost her mother. And I tried, as a mother, I tried to connect with her because postpartum depression is a real thing. I went through it. And I wanted her to know that she wasn't alone in dealing with the postpartum depression, that there's now help out there for mothers who have it. And if she has anything she wants to get off her chest or say, then she's more than welcome to. And that I told her that I hope that she and her baby and her mother find each other because I don't think I think if she didn't have the postpartum depression, which I honestly feel like she did have postpartum depression, because I don't get that feeling that she would have done that without everything on her at once, along with the postpartum depression, just losing her mother, just having the baby and everything. I think it all just took its toll on her and she just snapped. And I just, as a person with a big heart, I just kind of like wanted
Yeah.
her to feel like she's not the only mother out there who has gone through HE double hockey sticks, you know?
Right.
But
Right. Definitely. Yeah, it's kind of tough. I didn't well, I did go into a bit of that. I went into depression. Um I also got carpal tunnel from lifting him. So I had to actually kind of roll him up on my arms and then hold him like that. It was kind of tough, but we got through it. We got through it. We got it made. It's all good now.
well,
But
I had
it's tough
postpartum
times.
depression. Um, I think a lot of it came from the fact that I was still grieving over the loss of my son's twin because I had miscarried his twin at 7 weeks.
Okay.
And I was still grieving. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of my postpartum depression came from still grieving over the loss of my child. even though I had the surviving twin. It's still a
Yeah.
hard thing to do,
Exactly.
especially when you look at your surviving baby and know that my other child would have just looked just like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's hard. I ain't gonna lie, and it was a battle to kick postpartum depression in the butt, but I did it. And
Yay!
I didn't do it alone. I had help,
it,
but
it takes a village. It takes a village to
it
live. It
really
just
does.
does. Yes, it
It
really
really
does.
does.
Yeah.
Um, my son was born with a Mongolian spot, which is very common in um Asian babies, African Americans, Native Americans, and like Mexicans. But it's very rare in Caucasians, which I think the reason he had a Mongolian spot is because I have Native American roots. Cherokee and Apache.
Yep.
What a mix. What what a mix. But
Ah,
um and then his dad, sure enough, he had what was it? Started with a B. I think it was like um what is it, Blackfoot or something like that. Something along those lines. But it's just
so he's
it's
got it in him.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. He's
He's
got
got
it.
that little Mongolian spot right above his hiney. Which when he was such a little baby, I thought it was just so cute. I was like, the doctor told me there was like it's a birthmark, but they was like it may go away and it may not. Who knows?
Who knows? Who
I was like,
knows?
well, I hope it don't. I think it's cute.
Oh, oh my. Well, that is interesting to hear about that one. I do have a story with my son and a birthmark, but we're kind of running low on our time. So,
I do hope to investigate Hell's Gate Cemetery and Seven Devils Bridge and hopefully be involved in an investigation that helps bring our family closure over the loss of their son and their daughter.
yeah,
So
that would be awesome.
hopefully, fingers crossed.
You got this. You got this.
Yes, I've even talked with the police. I told them, and anytime they need help on a case, to just let us know, and we will volunteer our services.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that because it's very helpful out there. I wish police departments would use psychics more often to help find some of these people or all of the
Yeah, and
people.
the dead, they have a lot to say,
Hmm.
especially when their life has been cut short by the hand of somebody else. They're
Yeah,
gonna want to tell you who done it, why they did it, and where hopefully their body is located so their family can get closure and
right,
bring their loved one home.
right.
And that's
Yeah,
ultimately the goal.
yeah, yeah. Well, you'll do it. You'll get there. And I know you're going to go far in this because you have so much experience and everything. So, wish you the best.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being our guest today. And we're going to have to close up right here. And if anybody out there has any stories or know of anybody with any stories, please let me know. Let's get together and chat and email me at lighttalk423 at gmail.com. And we'll talk to you guys all next week. See ya. Bye.
Bye.